The Kingdom is now showing in cinemas, so here's my review of The Kingdom. Let's just say that I was bamboozled into thinking this movie was gonna be a good movie. Saw a bunch of the early reviews saying this was something different, something that would actually make the audience rethink what it means to be a Filipino. And for a second there, I thought, wow, maybe this could be a good movie. But then I actually saw it, and my suspicions about this were true, for me at least. I went into this with high expectations because of the early reviews, but I also went in with my doubts. From the get-go, I always thought this movie would be one of those movies with a really good and intriguing concept, but in the end have nothing truly profound to say. And unfortunately, I felt as though my suspicions were right, again, for me at least. I feel like whenever I review local movies, I always have to reiterate that it's my opinion, and by no means am I trying to take away anyone else's opinion, because how could I? It's their opinion, just like how this is my opinion. Because anytime there's a big movie with a famous local celebrity, fans of these celebrities act very rabid towards anyone who disagrees. People act like I kicked their dad in the back and spat on his face when I reviewed Darna, the first 5 episodes of Maria Clara at Ibarra, and Voltes 5. Newsflash, your favorite celebrity doesn't know you, so before we go on with this review, to those rabid, possibly middle-aged fans, please do take note that this isn't a personal attack on your favorite celebrity or your favorite network. Because quite frankly, your favorite celebrity doesn't care about what I have to say or what you have to say, and if they do, they can wipe their tears away with the money they made from doing bad movies. Anyway, let's start with the positives first. The Kingdom asks its audience to ponder what if the Philippines wasn't colonized, and that in itself is a great concept. The research and development that went into making this movie is something that I think deserves praise. If you're a history buff, I have no doubt you'll have a field day with this movie because everything from the costume design, production design, and even the music in this movie was great, and it truly felt like a celebration of our culture. I also think the idea that even without colonization, we as a country still have problems of poverty and corruption from within is a good concept. But in its execution is where I think this movie fails. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's Vic Sotto. This is his first dramatic role, so how did he do? Vic Sotto was fine. He wasn't mind-blowing or anything, he was serviceable. But do I think he deserves to be nominated for Best Actor this year? Because believe me, I'm sure he's already nominated. In my opinion, absolutely not. I don't think you deserve an award for being a comedy actor who for the first time ever isn't making lame jokes and looking to the camera to promote Tide. No spoilers, but somebody dies in this movie and Vic Sotto's reaction made me laugh. It was the same energy as when Shokoy from Lastikman died.
Shokoy! 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 Shokoy!
You know who would have been a better choice to play this character? John Arcilla. You know, a real actor. Cedric Juan is in this movie and he plays a younger version of Vic Sotto's character. Yup, you heard me. This guy plays the younger version of this guy. Was this Vic Sotto's idea? It has to be, right? Because in what universe do people look at this absolute stud and think, hey, he looks like a young Vic Sotto? If Cedric Juan is a young Vic Sotto, then I'm Henry Cavill. Now, I mentioned earlier that despite having a good concept and good ideas, this movie fails to execute them in a way that stimulates the mind. And that's because after presenting the audience with this world, with this idea that the problems we have now are still problems in this fictional utopia, they don't really do anything with it. You're instead trapped in this uninteresting family drama with characters the movie failed to make me connect with. The movie only gets slightly more interesting the second Piolo and Vic Sotto's characters finally meet. And credit where credit is due, there's a scene in this movie where the two have a conversation, and for a second there, it felt like we were going somewhere. But it takes forever to get there, and this leads to nothing. There's so much more you could do with the concept, and yet we're stuck in a boring family drama. In this reality, our justice system is still an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and we rely on barbaric methods such as trial by combat to decide the future of this country. We also still consult with mystics or gypsies for guidance. Yet none of these things get expanded upon or questioned. There's also a surprise villain reveal in this movie which felt unearned and unintentionally funny, if I'm being honest. From a technical aspect, I personally think this movie isn't the visual marvel that the early reviews made it out to be. There's a lot of terribly done CGI buildings that are very noticeable, badly shot action sequences that are so slow-paced that it comes off as comical. Are we sure that Vic Sotto made a serious movie? Visually speaking, the movie just looks like it was made for free TV. Also, in a movie that's supposedly set in this alternate universe where the Philippines was never colonized, we have two actors in here that look like they were products of colonization. Should have consulted those UP scholars with the casting too, I guess. Just to give you guys some context, I saw Isang Himala first before watching this movie, and I'm pretty sure Isang Himala doesn't have the budget this movie has, but comparing the two movies, Isang Himala visually looks better. This movie looks and feels like a really long first episode of a teleserye. Overall, I'd say this movie, at least for me, isn't the groundbreaking movie that the early reviews made it out to be. It's got a great concept for sure, but very little imagination when it comes to what to do with a concept like this. This movie reminds me of the movie Yesterday. In that movie, a guy wakes up in a world where the Beatles did not exist and he's the only one who knows about them. The movie could have dealt with the historical ramifications of having one of the most influential bands of all time just disappear from the face of the earth, but instead it chose to focus on an undercooked love story. I say this because just like the movie Yesterday, The Kingdom had a great concept, but in the end had nothing truly profound or smart to say.